Hello, hello. What's going on, everybody? Forgive me if you see me looking down. I just got some new technology and trying to make sure that that is working properly. If everybody can hear me good and see me good, please leave a comment in the chat so that I can know if you guys can hear me before I get started and see me, of course. Looks like everything's good on my end, so hopefully it's good on yours too. And I thank you guys for joining me tonight. I see there's a few people in here. And also, I know you already saw the title. So, you know what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about collections and why you should never pay them. And, of course, what you're doing with your stimulus check, of course, if you were thinking about trying to use that in regards to your collections and trying to pay them off. And also a few announcements that I had as well. So we're going to go through all of those things. But, of course, I want to make sure, that you guys can hear me first. Okay, I see you, Franklin. What's going on? Fred, what's going on? Okay. Let's see. Robert, okay. Mary, okay, here from India. Okay. So it looks like everybody can hear me and see me pretty good. Everybody that's in here so far. That's great. That's great. So this is my first live stream of 2021. And 2020 has been a little crazy, as you all know. And it's been like that for pretty much everybody. And in that and with that, coming into a new year, I decided that it was time to go ahead and make a few changes in the business. So one of those changes was I went ahead and I changed the name. Now I know some of you may have seen on the channel or may have seen elsewhere on social media or different places that it's a new name that I have for the company now. And previously company name was Clean Slate Credit, but now the new company name is going to be the Credit Elect, or it is the Credit Elect. Now, and also, you guys, if you feel like this is going to be some good information, there's some other people that may want to hear, make sure that you do like this video, because if you like the video, YouTube will, of course, share it with more people. So, don't just get all of this good information for yourself. Make sure that you do like this video and share it to make sure that YouTube shows it to more people, and so that you get this to more people that may actually need this good information I'm about to share with you guys tonight. And okay, just looking at some of the comments. And again, I told you guys the name of the company has changed to the Credit Elect. And a part of the reason for that was just because it was time to go in a new direction with the name and give something that really portrays what I want to be able to do for you guys, because you guys are an elect group of people who are here learning about how to improve your credit score, how to get negative things off of your credit report so that you can see increases, how to build credit so you can see increases. But, you aren't your current credit score. And I know a lot of people end up acting like their credit score. And when I say that, I mean, they may think that they don't deserve certain things. I think they can't get certain things because of their score. But, you aren't that person, whatever your score may be, if it's not where it needs to be. You are the elect. You are chosen to have good credit and to have the things that you're supposed to have. And that's a part of the name change. And I hope you guys, like the new logo and like the new name as well. But that is what the name change was about. With that, also, I wanted to tell you guys that if you are one of those people that saw in 2020 that it's time for you to go ahead and get away from your job, if they didn't, let you go because of everything going on with COVID and jobs letting people go, and then, trying to rely on the government to come through and get you the funds that you need. You saw things like that were not necessarily working in your favor, and you want to go ahead and start a business so that you don't have to worry about somebody laying you off, so that you don't have to worry about not having money coming in and being able to pay your bills or put food on the table for your family, be able to pay your rent. If you want to not have to worry about those things, or not have to worry about if the government's going to come through with money for you or not. I know a lot of people right now may have just got the stimulus check, or they may be still waiting on it. And it was a long time that you had to wait just to get a little bit of money. So if you don't want to have to wait for assistance like that, and you want to kind of take things into your own hands and control your income and what's coming into your household and your stability as far as your income, then you probably want to go ahead and start a business. And also in this time that it took a long time to get a little bit of money from as assistance from the government, business owners were getting a lot of money, way more money than the regular person was getting in government assistance, through things like the PPP loan. And then they had the EIDL grant, which that one was supposed to be up to $10,000 for a business owner by itself, not including the PPP loan. So it was definitely a lot of money out there for business owners. And I know some of you guys out there, you saw the pain of what it's like to have to work for somebody and then they let you go, and not have that security. So I've created a business class, which is going to help you guys if you are interested in trying to start a credit repair business, and it will help you guys in regards to everything that you need to know, from a person that's just leaving your job. Because the whole thing behind that, I left my job with no money saved up, and I ended up in the second year of business, ended up being very profitable. In my second year of business, when I went full time, I got $50K in revenue that year, and of course it's grown since then. But that was just my first year doing it full time. So I used those principles in the class that I put together, plus everything I've learned over time, to try to help you guys to be able to start a business yourself and be profitable when you first start the business, instead of having to stumble and fall on your face, like I did a few times in the beginning, because there were certain things I didn't know that I needed to know. And I have that information, and I'm here to dispense that to you guys that want to try to do something like that. So if you guys are interested in something like that, I do have a link to that in the description of the video, and you'll be able to sign up for that. Today is going to be the only day that I'm going to have a early bird pre-order special for that. That class is going to be released on February 1st. So that business class is going to be released on February 1st. Make sure that you go ahead and check out that class. You can find a link in the description. And if that's not your thing, if you were here because you wanted to try to get some things done with your personal credit and try to see, what it is that I'm talking about in regards to collections and how that can be helpful to not pay them and still see your credit improve, then, I'm going to go ahead and get into that part for you guys now. But before I do that, I have a question for you guys. What I really want to know is how many of you guys still have your stimulus check? If you got it, how many of you guys still have your stimulus check? You can go ahead and put it in the comment and let me see if any of you guys actually still have your stimulus check, because I know a lot of you guys were, y'all were itching to get that money. Some of you guys were okay and you just wanted the money to, just spend on whatever. Some of you guys were really waiting on that money to be able to use it for something, rent or for food, or to pay get caught up on some bills or something like that, So if you guys still have your stimulus check, I want you to go ahead and I want you to make a comment and say that you still have it or you don't have it, or you spent it all, they still haven't sent it to you, whatever it is. Go ahead and leave that in the comments, and hopefully you got yours and it was able to do something to help you out. But hopefully you did not use it in regards to paying off your collections. And of course, again, I'm going to show that to you now on why you shouldn't have wasted your stimulus check on paying off collections, if it was even enough to pay off the collections. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to dive into that. And let me look and see. I see a lot of you guys commenting now. Don't have it at all. Okay. Same here, Roger. They haven't even sent me mine yet. I don't know what's the hold up on that, but it's fine. It'll get here when it gets here. But I know a lot of people still haven't gotten theirs. I know like a few people that have. Okay, yeah, two of you guys said that you haven't received it yet. So it's not just me. So I don't feel bad about it now. But I see a lot of people are still waiting on their stimulus checks. But If you got it, hopefully you haven't spent it yet, and it's good that you guys haven't gotten it yet before you saw this live stream, because this may help you be able to do something a little bit better with your money versus spending it in the wrong areas trying to improve your credit. So basically, coming down to it, in regards to the collections, the first thing that you really need to know is if you have collections on your credit report. And the reason why I say that is because a lot of times people confuse collections and charge-offs on the credit report. So, of course, the first thing you always want to do is you want to go ahead and get all three of your credit reports, all three of your credit scores. You can't do that on Credit Karma. So you do want to try to use another tool to try to get all three of your credit reports. Of course, there's annualcreditreports.com. Those reports are usually pretty long and very detailed, and you have to really dig through them to see everything that's on there. So I usually don't steer people in that direction. I usually steer people in the direction that is a little bit easier to digest. And that's usually going to be some type of credit monitoring. A lot of people go to the bureaus for credit monitoring. However you go and get it, make sure you get all three of your credit reports and scores and look through your reports so you can see certain things that's going to tell you if the accounts that you're dealing with are collections or if they're charge-offs. Now, the very first thing you need to look at to be able to tell that is if you see that the company on your credit report that you think is a collection says the original name of the creditor, like Wells Fargo, Capital One, Chase. If you see that as the account name, then that means for sure that it's not a collection, it's a charge-off. Now, if you do see a company name that you are completely unfamiliar with, something like Midland Funding or Portfolio, debt service management, stuff like that. And then sometimes you'll see that name, and then right next to it, you'll see the original name of the person that you owe the money to. That's how you will know it is a collection. And there are also some categories underneath that that are on the account that may say collection as well, but sometimes it says collection / charge off, so it may not be as clear. So that's what you want to look for in regards to trying to figure out if you're dealing with a collection or if you're not dealing with a collection. Also, under account type, you can tell that it's not a collection if you see something like revolving or installment. That lets you know that it is a original type of credit account and not a collection account. But again, the first thing you want to do, get your credit reports, and then you want to look for those details just to make sure that you are dealing with a collection account, because certain things on your credit report you definitely need to deal with in certain ways. So you got to know what you're looking at in order to know what you are, what you need to do. Now, other than that, the next thing I want to address, some people may say, that I have to pay off all my debts. I need to pay off these collections. This is what I've always been told to do, and this is the right way to do it. And you may have never done something like this before. So, you've just been given instruction, or you've heard something from your family or friends, and they told you that you definitely need to pay off any debts that you owe, and it's going to help your credit score. So in regards to that, it will do anything but help your credit score. But when it comes down to a lot of these debts, like collection companies that are on your credit report, one main thing that people aren't aware of is that sometimes the collection can be one that was bought from a debt pool. So let's say that the original company was Wells Fargo. Let's say they charged off the account because you went 6 months, maybe a year without paying them. So they go ahead and they charge off the account, they write it off on their books, and then they send the debt off to some debt pool somewhere. And then you'll end up having, some collection companies that go to the debt pool and they end up buying those debts and then trying to collect on them. Now, usually what you're not aware of is that they probably paid pennies on a dollar for that collection. So, let's say that you owed $100. They may have only paid, like literally, a dollar or so, not a lot of money for the same debt that, you may have owed $100 for. So they pay a little bit of money for that debt, and then they come back and try to collect the debt from you at full price, and sometimes probably with fees and everything else. So usually you're being overcharged for a debt that you owed, and you can probably, bypass having to try to pay that off because they don't, the original company already charged it off and wrote it off. And now, this collection company has it and they're trying to get more than what they paid for it out of you when, you can probably take other measures, which I will go over, to try to deal with getting that collection account dealt with in a way that will actually increase your credit score. And sometimes the situation with the collection companies, it might be that a collection company is actually one that's working for the original creditor. So, let's say Capital One, you owe them a debt. It's maybe 6 months, 6 months or less, and that you haven't paid on it. They may actually, just try to hire somebody, a collection company, to try to collect that debt for them. And in that instance, the debt is still in-house with Capital One, and they just have somebody out there that they're going to pay a percentage of the money collected. They're going to pay them that fee for them being able to chase you down and get the money from you. So in those instances, they may, accept less for the debt because, they're just trying to collect on it and try to get some money to the original company and collect their fee. But, a lot of times these collection companies, like I said, they either didn't pay a lot for the debt or they don't really own the debt and they're just trying to get whatever they can, from you. So don't feel too bad about not paying them. Now, there are accounts that you do want to pay off that will actually help your credit. And I would recommend that on your open accounts that you have. And I won't lie, in some situations, there are situations where you probably will need to pay a collection company or a charge off. But in most instances, in the majority of cases, you do not ever need to try to pay them off as a first option. So, just be clear on that. Now, and if you guys have any questions, I'm going to answer those questions at the end. And if you guys want to come in live on the video and ask your question, I'll try to make that happen for you. But I'm going to address all of the questions at the end of the video. But please, if you do have questions, you can go ahead and post them in the comments. I'll read them. Or, if you guys want to, like I said, come live into the video and ask a question, I think I can send you a link where you can do that. Like I said, this new technology. So I'll see if I can make that happen. But where was I? So, yes. Oh, hold on. Hey, wife, we see you in there. Hey, JJ. Okay, this is more of a comment. The My Jewelers account. Oh, let me see. Okay, and yeah, this person that follows me, that's subscribed to the channel as well, they apparently had some good luck with the My Jewelers account that they got. They got 48-point increase, which is great, man. That is great. Like I said, I recommend a lot of things that are useful to helping you guys see increases, and this was a really good one. And I've seen people get even more than that. So I definitely wanted to go ahead and share this. So you guys, if you were interested in trying to build credit too, I have several videos on building credit with different accounts, and you might want to check out the My Jewelers account or the AG Jewelers account, which is a real good account that you can use versus getting a trade line, and you can build credit in your own name without credit checks and with a high credit limits as well. But thank you for the feedback on that, JJ. I'm glad I was able to help you, and I'm sure it's going to be more. And thank you, Hope, for the contribution, for the donation. Also, it is a super chat, so if you guys want to send donations, you can feel free to do that. For the information being dispensed today, wasn't expecting that, but thank you very much for the donation. You are very much appreciated for that. And okay, and I'll get back into it. I see a few more questions coming in, but I'll get to those questions once we get through the majority of the content. So now you know what it is that the collection companies are, how they actually ended up in a situation where they are reaching out to you or on your credit report and trying to get this, trying to collect on this debt. So now you know how they got the debt, and you know why they're calling you and trying to get the money from you. So what would actually happen if you were to actually try to pay this debt? what's going to happen is, and I'll tell you about a collection and a charge off, because these are things that most people try to pay and they don't know that they're going to see a negative effect from doing so. So when it comes down to a collection or a charge off, the thing that determines if a certain action that you take with an account on your credit report, the things that determine that are going to be the actions. I'm sorry, going to be certain pieces of the account information on each account on your credit report. So there are certain dates, there are certain payment amounts, balances, credit limits, stuff like that on each account on your credit report. Now, those dates are going to be the main thing that's going to kind of mess with you as far as your credit score when you make those payments. Now, a collection account that's with a third-party collection company is usually an account that you have not ever paid this company any money at all. So that is one reason why the dates are so important on that. So when you go and you try to pay one of these collections, what happens is usually, now on some collections, they keep the date, which is the last date a payment was made to the company. They make it as recent as possible. Like they change it to the current month almost every month. They do that because that's going to make sure that that collection account is hurting your score as much as possible. Even though you haven't made a payment to them, that date is usually a date that is consistently refreshed every month. Now, on an account where you have not seen that date refreshed and it actually reflects, you haven't sent the payment to this place in, like 6 months or a year, that would be more so a charge off situation because they hadn't received the money in a while. So usually they don't mess with that date. They'll leave that date at whatever date you actually made your last payment to them. But like I said, with a collection company, it's different. So now sometimes the collection company, after they put it on your credit report, the collection, they don't update that date, but usually they do. Now, what does that mean? Basically, when you make a payment to that collection company that has been constantly updating that date, it already looks like you have, been making a payment to that company technically, because that date is always refreshed every month. And this isn't the reporting date. The reporting date is different from the date that I'm talking about. But when you make that payment, because the date is already currently updated every month so that the account hurts your score as much as possible anyway, when you pay that collection company that $600, that $1,000, that $3,000 that you think is about to help your credit score, that date has already been updated. So that date isn't going to affect you at all positively. So basically, you'll give them that money, your credit score will stay exactly where it is. Or if they have not been updating that date every month, you'll actually see your credit score drop. And of course, you don't want to give a company $3,000 and then you end up seeing that your credit score dropped. Of course, that's going to be a real bad look, and it's going to leave you in a depressed state probably. But what you really want to try to do is not, like I said, pay those collection companies for that reason, because either absolutely nothing will happen after you give them all that money, or you'll end up in a situation where your score drops. Neither of those is the place where you want to be, especially if you have to come out of pocket to do so. Now, other than that, the charge-offs, when it comes to the charge-offs, if you actually end up trying to pay off a charge-off, that date, like I mentioned to you, usually has not been updated at all. And in almost all cases, a charge-off has not been updated in the area of that date at all. So as soon as you make a payment to them, what that's going to do is it's going to make your credit score drop for sure, because that account, like I said, that date hasn't been changed at all. So you making that payment is going to make that date recent. And the more recent that date is, the more that particular account affects your credit score. So again, you can try to go pay, however much you pay for, an old repo, because repos show up as charge-offs, or an old credit card, and you will usually see your score decrease. Now, how much it will decrease, there's no real way to determine that. The algorithm is very, very much so complicated. It's not as simple as people think it is. So it can vary. So it can be 20 points you might lose. It could be 50 points you might lose. You wouldn't know until you actually pay, your account on your credit report. And if you've heard of somebody doing it and they got a certain, decrease in points or something happened for them specifically, usually you won't see the same thing happen across the board with everybody, because everybody has a different makeup of accounts on their credit report. They have a different age of accounts on their credit report. So you're going to see different increases or drops. With a person, with two people doing the same action, you'll see different point amounts, either decrease or increase, just based on your particular credit report. So don't ever go by a standard number. It's really based on what's going on with your in particular credit report. Now, let's see. Now, other than that, that's what happens when you actually pay a collection account, or if you pay a charge off. So you can tell by what I just said that those actions are not necessarily what you want to do. So of course, you have these collections out there. What do you do in order to actually try to see some improvement with your credit score? How do you see daylight? What do you need to do with these collection companies? So when it comes down to that, what you want to do, you do have at least two options on what you can do. One option is going to be the first step that you want to take before you try to do the second step. The first option is going to be you trying to do a dispute. Now, when I'm telling you to do a dispute, I'm not telling you to do a dispute online, like through creditkarma.com or through Experian.com. Like, don't do it electronically online at all. You may have heard of somebody doing it. You may have done it yourself before in the past, and you may have heard somebody say they got something off their credit doing it that way, or this, that, and the third. But I'm telling you now, that is not the most consistent way to try to get an account off your credit report. The more consistent way that I've seen across the board for multiple people versus just a few people seeing some luck is to send a paper dispute. Now, of course, you have to, find out the best way to type up a letter. I'm pretty sure you guys have maybe seen a letter online or something like that. I do have a library of about 93 dispute letters at a very decent price. Is just $7 for dispute letters. It's 93 of them, like I said, and that's just for right now. That price will go up, but you can check that out in the description if you want a whole bunch of collection letters and other letters for things like late payments, goodwill letters, things for repos. Like, it's a whole bunch of different dispute letters in there. And if you need help trying to figure out what's supposed to go into a letter, you have an option there that can help you out with that. But if you found something online, there are things that kind of go with that as well, because the credit bureaus have systems set up to try to recognize certain things, but you want to send it by paper. That's the best way to go to make sure that you can see better results versus the limited options that you have by sending disputes online, because they only give you a few options to choose from. And there are laws that say that you have over 300 different reasons that you can actually dispute things. So you want to be able to use all of those laws that have been out there put in place for you, which is why people say you can dispute, you can do credit repair yourself. There are laws put in place for you. So you don't want somebody to limit the options that you can use to try to dispute. But anyway, you want to try to send a paper dispute. You want to try to make sure that you send them to the credit bureaus, but you also want to try to go directly to the collection companies. Now, there are different laws that come into play from when you're dealing with the credit bureaus and when you're dealing directly with the creditors. With the credit bureaus, it's the Fair Credit Reporting Act. With the collection companies, it's the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. And there are different things, like I said, that tell you the different ways that you can address those different entities when you're trying to do disputes. So, there's information that you want to know, of course, when it's time to try to send a dispute in regards to your collections that may be on your credit report. But those are the ways that you want to try to go about in regards to trying to dispute those collections before you try to do anything in regards to trying to pay them any money, because a lot of times these collection companies, they don't have certain documentation they're supposed to have. They have a whole bunch of violations of things on the credit report. Some of the things they send you in the mail to try to collect the debt have violations in them. So that is definitely something that you want to, an option that you want to explore before you go into trying to send money to them to try to hurt your credit or do absolutely nothing with your credit. So that is the first step. Now, the second step, if you don't see success with that, and if you sent one letter before in the past and it didn't work, let me tell you now that it takes more than just sending one letter one time. It takes, usually a few months worth of time of going back and forward before you actually might see a good result. A lot of people give up after the first round of sending out a dispute, and sometimes you may see a result from the first round, sometimes you may not. It may take more work. That's why you have to be persistent. These are the things that I have to let my customers know about, because a lot of times they think it's supposed to be easier than what it is, and it's actually more complicated than that. It can be a little bit harder. Sometimes they can get done quickly, sometimes it can take a little more time, but you just have to have patience while you're doing that process. But if you've tried to do that for a few months and you have not seen any type of results, and you're starting to feel like these collections aren't about to go anywhere, the next thing that you need to try to do is you need to try to do a pay for deletion. Now, with a pay for deletion, you may have heard of this already. Pay for deletion is going to be you actually offering the collection company some money and seeing if they'll accept that amount of money, but also asking them if they will be willing to remove the collection account at the same time, just because you are giving them the money. Now, it's important to know that just because you pay a collection doesn't mean that they have to remove it off your credit. There is no law and there is nothing out there, no policy or procedure that says that any collection company has to take anything off your credit report just because you paid them. They have the legal right to keep it on your credit report for 7 years. So they don't have to remove it just because you paid it. So you can throw that out the window. But with this, you are trying to make an attempt to see if they will do this for you because you are paying them the money, because of course they want the money. And if you've already paid them the money and you try to go back and ask them to delete it after you've already paid them the money, they're not going to do that almost every time. I can tell you that for sure. Now, when it comes down to pay per deletion, there are different methods that you can use for that. There are different letters that you can use for that. But at the end of the day, remember that they don't have to do it. It'll be completely up to them. And it is usually against their favor for them to remove something like that for you, because they get penalized by the credit bureaus for deleting accounts that way. So, of course, it doesn't help them at all. But you also need to know that 9 out of 10 collection companies will say no to a request like that. There are a lot of collection companies that will not accept pay per deletion. They'll accept the money, and they may tell you things that make it sound like they're going to delete them for you, and they may use some wordplay, but hopefully it doesn't, get to you and trick you and give you the false understanding that they're going to remove it for you. They say things like, okay, yeah, like you'll ask them, hey, I'm going to give you this money for the account. Will you guys delete this for me? And they'll be like, oh, yeah, we'll update it. And they just slip it in real smooth like that. And you don't really, catch what they're saying. But when they say that they're going to update it, that just means that they're going to update your credit report to show that you're at a zero balance. The account's still going to stay there. And, don't be fooled. If the account is still on your credit report, it's still affecting your score. With a collection, they need to be removed in order for them to actually help your credit score. So you want to try to get them to agree to remove the collection account from all 3 credit bureaus. Of course, it doesn't hurt to try, even though a lot of them don't accept those type of offers. You never know which collection company is the one that does. I can tell you for sure of at least one that does do it is Midland Funding. I know there are a few others out there, but if you have a Midland Funding on your credit report, there are some situations where they won't, but in a lot of cases they will. And that's, I give you that free information. So if you have Midland, that is one that you can do that with, but still try the first step that I mentioned to you first before you even attempt to do the pay per deletion. Because if you can give them no money and get it removed, that is, of course, more beneficial to you, because you can use that money for a bunch of different things, especially in this given time. So you want to try to do that option first. So I see there were quite a few questions down there too that I'm going to try to get to. But you guys definitely want to make sure that you do step number one. Get your credit report. Make sure you see all the accounts on your credit report. Get your scores too, and try to see if you can identify the collection accounts versus the charge-offs on your credit report. If you need something to try to get your credit reports, I have an option I use for my customers when I do consultations. It's just $1 for a 7-day trial. Easy to read reports. You get FICO scores in all three bureaus, and all three bureau reports too. And it's real easy to read, real simple. So you can check that out in the description if you don't have another option for doing that. After you've seen the accounts on your credit report, you want to try to see if you can dispute those items, and you want to dispute them by paper first. You want to try to dispute them by paper in general, because disputing online will not yield you better results in more situations, and as far as a higher percentage than if you did it with paper and sending in mail disputes. If you need dispute letters, I have an option for that in the in the description. So go ahead and check that out if you need some guidance on trying to create those letters. Now, after you've done that, you send out your disputes. You've went back and forth a few months maybe, and you've seen if you got results in that. The very next step you want to do, if you have not gotten anything removed, or if there are still some things that remained and some stuff did come off, then you want to try to do pay per deletion to see if you can get them to agree to remove it, because you're going to give them some type of settlement amount or some type of payment. And that's going to be the last resort that you want to try to go to, because paying the collections is something you never want to do unless you have to, because it will not help your credit score at all. And you do have other options that may work better. Also, again, you guys, if you are interested in trying to start a business, don't forget a credit repair business. Don't forget that I have that business class that is going to be available on February 1st. And you can pre-order the class for yourself. Like I said, it's only going to be a few weeks before it's available, and you guys can get that very detailed information on starting your own business if you're looking to get away from actually, having to rely on the government or having to rely on another person to get a paycheck to feed your family and keep money coming into your household. This will be a second option for you to try to, actually start a business and control your income, control your destiny. Now, let me see what questions we have. Let's see what questions we have. I know it's quite a few. And again, if you guys really like this information, make sure that you share this video. Don't forget to like this video so that YouTube can share with more people. And we can make sure that other people are getting this good information too. Okay. All right, thank you, Mary. Yeah, that was a surprising year for me to see that. I was optimistic getting started, but it was, of course, great to see those results too. Let's see. I fell for paying accounts off, and it did nothing good for me. Okay, and yeah, JJ again with some more good feedback. As he said here, he fell for paying his accounts off, and it did nothing good for him. 100% fact. Like I said, I'm not lying to you. The only thing I'm trying to do is help you keep some money in your pocket and help save you, some heartache at the same time. So, this definitely confirms what I was saying to you guys. Like I said, I've seen it myself when I was trying to work on my credit in the past. Like it never helps. And then all of the people that I've helped since I started my first company in about 2014, like it's every customer that I've helped, I've always seen the same situation. So I'm not gonna lie to you guys about nothing like that. Okay. And Hope said, how can you tell what collection company can or can't be removed? And you're welcome. So the way to tell, there's not really a way to tell. The only way that you would know if this is a collection company that can be removed and not removed is to send a dispute. That's the only way to find out. There are collections have a higher percentage chance of being removed versus other types of accounts. Now, a collection can be a medical bill, a cell phone bill, a cable bill, an old apartment complex. Sometimes those show up as collections. It can be various different things. I've seen car insurance show up on people's credit reports. So collections can be a plethora of different things. So it's not really any way to know for sure, but there are ways to tell. Some are harder, like a credit card collection or a loan collection can be harder to remove than others. Nothing's impossible, but just know that some collections can be harder than others, but collections in general are usually a little more easier to remove than other types of accounts. Does medical debt show on your credit report? Yes, it does. And of course, I was just mentioning that medical debt shows up on your credit report as a collection. Usually, you may not know what it is if you're not looking at the details of the account, because they usually won't show like the name of the hospital. You'll usually just see some random collection company, and it won't say, who the debt is originally from. So you're just kind of left to figure out what it is. But a lot of times it'll be for those small dollar amounts, like $35, $5. I've seen them as small as $1. It can get up to the hundreds and the thousands too. But usually in the comments of the collection, you may see that it is medical. And that may be the only indication you have. It's very rare that I do see that they actually put the name of the hospital. So, that can be confusing, but that's how you would know if you are actually seeing a medical bill on your credit report. Okay. And another question, I can't believe they haven't changed that. Your credit should go up if you pay it off, right? It's like they don't want these companies to get paid. Well, they haven't changed that because, the credit bureaus, they're out to make money. As long as accounts are being reported, to the credit bureaus, the companies have to pay the credit bureaus to report information on the credit report. So as long as stuff is being reported, they're making money. If stuff is taken off, it's not being reported, they're not making money. They don't like that. So that, of course, is how the bureaus make their money, and in other ways as well. But it should be the fact that if you pay it, that it gets removed, or it actually helps your credit score. But the way that they set up the algorithm, a lot of things don't work in a way that people assume them to work. And that's why I'm here to try to dispense the information, to try to bust those myths and get you guys some true steps that you can take when you're trying to work on your credit. Yep, and Mary, you did reply to that. Medical debt does show up on your credit report. Okay. B Park, if you need some help, make sure that you reach out. I have a link to do a consultation with me if you're trying to do some work with your credit. So make sure that you check out that link in the description, and definitely do a consultation with me so we can see how we can help you. Okay, let's see. And I see a few people saying that they got the AG, or no, they want to know what the AG Jewelers is. I see one of you guys, you applied for it, you're waiting for it to hit all 3 of your credit bureaus. Sometimes you may see a little bit of a delay. At most, give it 60 days for it to hit your credit report. AG Jewelers is a account that is like My Jewelers Club. With My Jewelers Club, they are a credit account that you can get with no credit check. Is pretty much guaranteed approval unless you have an extreme situation, a bankruptcy, something like that. But this is My Jewelers Club, guaranteed approval, $5,000 credit limit guaranteed. It is a jewelry account where you must buy jewelry from that company's particular website, and you can only use it there. But it is the equivalent to buying a trade line, getting a high, credit limit, and being able to have good credit reporting, especially in a situation where it's hard for you to get approved for credit because your credit score may be in a bad situation. So something like that with no credit check that guarantees approval and guarantees you a high credit limit, and it hits all 3 credit bureaus, which is very important. That stuff is great. Now, AG Jewelers, they are another company, and if you see the video where I posted about a $10,000 credit card or line of credit, that's going to be the video that actually describes that. And AG Jewelers, they are same situation, guaranteed approval, no credit check. They actually approve you for double what my Jewelers Club approves you for, $10,000 guaranteed. They do sell jewelry. You have to, purchase. You can only use it on their website with their company, but they do have decent jewelry over there. They give you a double as high of a credit limit, which is great. They report to all 3 credit bureaus, which is great. And like I said, they're just a really good account to try to build up credit, especially if you're having trouble getting approved for credit. They are really good for that. And with them, you actually don't have to buy any item with AG Jewelers. You just have to pay their initial fee of $150 to have the account. And then there's an annual fee, but you won't have to worry about that. But once a year, which I think is like $100. But for the account that you're getting and being able to build up credit, like as it was just mentioned, JJ, he had signed up for My Jewelers. He got 48 points. This account has double the credit limit as that. So, like I said, these things are really good and they're hidden gems. No pun intended, because it's a jeweler, thing, but they're hidden gems because most people don't look to things like this. They're usually trying to get a credit card that they can go and spend anywhere, and then they end up getting maybe in trouble because they spent too much money, or something like that. But these accounts are really good. You're usually not going to overspend because you're not really trying to buy a whole bunch of jewelry anyway. But I do have a link to them in my video on my channel. That is the title of it is $10,000 credit card line of credit, something like that. But you guys can check that out. All right. Let's see what else we got. Okay, yeah, somebody mentioned it. Okay, thank you, B Park, for mentioning that. I'm glad that worked for you too, Hope. Let's see. Okay, thank you, John, for the donation. I appreciate that very much so. Let's see what other comments we got here. Okay, it's a good idea to use one credit card to pay for a secure credit card. Okay, for that, I'm going to tell you no. It is not a good idea. And the reason why it's not a good idea, and I'll say too, most credit card companies want you to pay with a checking account number and a routing number instead of even a debit card number, because they don't want people to pay their account with another credit account. They want you to use actual cash, so they go to your bank account. But even if that was allowed, it wouldn't be necessarily a great idea. And I'm saying that because if you already have a unsecured credit card, I'm assuming that you're using to pay for the secure credit card, that means that should show you that you can get a unsecured credit card without doing a secure credit card. It is of no benefit to you to get a secure credit card if you have the ability to get an unsecured credit card, because it doesn't help your credit any more than a regular credit account would. It's only going to do the same thing. It's going to do the same thing. And usually the credit limits on those are really low. Usually people get them for about $200, $300. At some places, minimal is like $500. I usually tell people, don't try to go the secure route if you don't have to, because with unsecured, you can keep money in your pocket. Or with something like AG Jewelers, instead of paying $200 for a secured, get a $200 credit limit for the same amount that you just gave them. You can pay $150 and get a $10,000 credit limit. So but to answer your question, no, it is not a good idea to use a one credit card to pay for a secured credit card. And yeah, Easy Prince, that is correct. No credit check with a $10,000 limit. Like I said, the only thing about that is you can only use it with them, but it's not about it. Right now, we're not trying to spend a whole bunch of money. We're just trying to build up our credit, and high credit limits help you out way more than those lower credit limits that you can usually get with those credit builder or low credit card types that you can spend everywhere. Okay, let's see what we got. Oh, well, I'm glad that we caught you just in time. Be park used by you might have been very upset if you would have paid that collection before finding out this information. I've seen people pay more and then they were real hurt. Okay, one more question. If I was contacted by a collection and still getting calls from the hospital for payments, is that legal? Advice? Thanks. Okay, so you have this collection account that is still with the medical. Is that, let me see. Yeah, you still getting called for the hospital, and the other place is still trying to collect the money from you too. So usually in this situation, this is that situation that I mentioned where the collection company is working for the hospital trying to collect on that debt for them. So basically, if you pay it to them, they're going to get a small percentage of it. What I would tell you to do in that situation is to go directly to the hospital, and you can give the hospital the money because, of course, if that's your hospital, you may end up going back to them anyway. So it's okay to go straight to the hospital and pay them. But what you don't want to do is give the money to the collection company, because if that collection company, especially if they're on your credit report, that's not going to help you. It could hurt you, and it definitely will not help increase your score at all. So bypass them, go to the hospital, pay them, and then deal with the collection company, as I mentioned to you, by disputing first. That's always going to be first option, dispute first. Okay, let's see what else we got. Okay, that's a good statement. I thought it was illegal to report medical bills. So a lot of people have that misconception. They think that because it was maybe a few years ago that it came out that and I do have a video on medical bills as well that can explain this a little bit better for you. But when it comes down to when it comes down to what you mentioned, a lot of people think that medical bills aren't reported on a credit report. Now there were some regulations put in place that kind of make it to where they have to wait a longer time frame before they're supposed to report it, because they're supposed to give the insurance company time to pay, whatever bills may have needed to be paid. And it's for veterans, I think that regulation was for. But a lot of those things were placed into newer, I can't even think of the name of it right now, but there are different not scoring models. There are different versions of FICO credit score. So like there's a FICO version 4, version 8, 9, there's a version 10 now. And in those newer versions, they put things where like medical bills aren't counted against your score. And they may still be on your credit report, but they're not counted in your score, or they may not be counted as heavily in your score as they used to be in those older versions of FICO, which is, like I said, these are different, almost like versions of Windows on your computer. Every lender has a different version of FICO. So in those new versions, they included stuff like that. But the problem is every lender doesn't use the newer version, and every lender doesn't use the same version. So they say stuff like medical bills aren't counted anymore. So you're thinking it's across the board, but it's really dependent upon what version that lender has that you're applying with. So, that's just a misconception based on misinformation or not giving out enough details about how this stuff works. Okay, let's see what else we got. Okay. Ahmad or Ahmed, I'm hoping I said that correctly, but so I'm already paying a collection account off. Do I keep paying, or how do I act knowing it's not benefiting my credit? So when it comes down to that, you're already paying on it. So you've already made the agreement that this account is yours, and you've acknowledged that by sending them money and actually paying them. So at this point, unfortunately, it's best to just go ahead and finish paying them off. Now, by the time you're done paying them off, you do still have the ability to try to send a dispute, because unless they agree to take it off your credit report, more than likely it's still going to be on your credit report. So you can go ahead and try to see if you can get them to remove that by disputing that. and do that after you're done completing your payments with them, because it will just lead to some confusion if you start sending disputes while you're also giving money. And the purpose of a dispute, that's not going to work with you actually giving them money. But that's how you want to approach that situation. Unfortunately, it's too late. But if you have any other collections, you know how to handle them moving forward. Okay, is it more helpful to have both jewelers' lines of credit? It can be. And the reason why I say it can be is because it depends on the makeup of your credit report. A lot of times when people tell me what they should do in that situation, I have to let you know that it depends on the makeup of your credit report. And I say that because basically, if you had a whole bunch of maxed out credit cards, let's say on your credit report, and let's say that it was, $10,000, $15,000 worth of stuff, and you're maxed out, so you're at 100% utilization. That 100% utilization of your credit limits really tanks your credit score, drops your score a lot. So if you were to get approved for both of those jeweler accounts, one 5,000, the other 10,000, well, that would take you immediately from 100% utilization to 50% utilization, which can dramatically increase your score. Now, ideally, you want to be try to get under 30%, and then from there go to try to stay under 10% credit utilization to make sure that you're maximizing how many points you're getting from those accounts. But you definitely, it can definitely help you if you were in that situation. Now, if you were a person that just didn't have any type of, credit cards at all, and the jeweler account is going to be your first credit account, usually you may see the biggest benefit from the first one that you get, and then you may see another small increase from the second one that you get. But it's never really a way to tell. I can't tell you, because I haven't seen your credit report, but it's usually based off of the makeup of your credit report to tell you what's going to work the best for you. But hopefully that kind of helped you, get an idea. Okay. Yep, that is exactly correct, B Park. I thought you were asking a question, but you definitely got that correct. That is how that works. Okay. Okay, I think that question got repeated. Okay, yeah. All right, you're welcome, John. Let's see. Okay, Jay says, are unsecured personal loans added to credit lines in your credit report? Let me make sure I'm reading that right. Are unsecured personal loans added to credit lines in your credit report? Okay, they're not added to credit lines or like credit lines, if that's what you're asking. They do show up on your credit report depending on the company that you got it from. That will determine if they report to all three, one or two. And some places may not report to any, but unsecured personal loans show up like regular loans on your credit report, if that is the question that you were asking. You could restate that question if I did not answer that correctly. Okay, Mary, go ahead and handle your business. Go ahead and eat. I definitely understand. I'll be doing the same thing once I leave you guys. Okay. All right. You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay, it looks like that's almost everybody's question. Hold up. Oh no, hold up. This look like did I get deleted? Okay. A debt collection company re-aged a car charge off that was 4 years old. What should I do? Okay, a debt collection company. Now, debt collection company, they re-aged it. So that means that date that I was mentioning, not the like I said, not the last report date, not the reporting date, the date of last payment, something like that. Is that the date that you're talking about? So if they re-aged it, what I want to tell you is, and make sure first that it's not the reporting date, because if it's the reporting date, that's just the date, the last day that they reported the account on your credit report, not the last day that you made a payment, which can actually affect your credit score. So when you are looking at that, if it's the first one, then it's not nothing to worry about. You don't have to worry about that. But if it is a re-aging of the date, like I mentioned, collection companies do that all the time to purposefully make sure that that account hurts your score at the maximum potential that it can. And this is not something that the credit bureaus can that they regulate or try to make the original company correct, because that information is coming from the original company that put it there, and in your case it's a collection company. So if they put something out there, there's not nothing the credit bureaus do to regulate that, and there's really not much you can do on that. Re-aging is really dealing with the 7-year time frame that is supposed to be reported on your credit report, and that date usually is not being changed. And when you make a payment, that's not usually what's being changed either. There's a different situation that sounds similar to that most people get confused, but it may not be something that you have to worry about, but you just want to kind of look at that and address that. But if it's a repo that's about 4 years old, you honestly may be able to see some success in disputing that. So that's one that you might want to try to dispute as well. Okay, looks like we got 2 more. So how can we increase our FICO 9 score? Okay, so that's I'm going to tell you something better than that. The way to increase all of your FICO scores, because here's the thing. You don't want to try to increase just your FICO 9 score. There is not really a way for you to hone in and just focus on the FICO 9 score, because we still don't know what are the detailed details behind those algorithms. Now, there's some general information, that I'm aware of and that you guys know that can kind of help you and getting in the right direction. But the best thing to aim to do is to try to make sure that your credit is universally as good as it can be. And to do that, you need to make sure that you have no collections on your credit report. You need to make sure that you don't have any charge-offs that are that show a balance. You want to make sure that you don't have any late payments on your credit report. You want to make sure that all of your balances on your credit cards are as low as possible. And you want to make sure that you have a whole bunch of old accounts on your credit report. The average age of your credit report should ideally be about 10 years or more. In order for some people, depending on your age, to do that, you might have to be added as an authorized user on somebody's account. But these are all of the things that you need to do, and not apply for a whole bunch of stuff that's going to give you a whole bunch of inquiries in a short period of time as well. And these are things that you would do in regards to trying to get towards that 800 score in general, because you never know where you're going to go and what to try to apply for something. And you never know what version of FICO that lender is going to have. So if you try to prepare for a FICO 9 and then you go somewhere that has a FICO 5, then you're going to be SOL in that situation. So you just want to make sure that you do everything that you can to make sure that your credit is as crisp and clean as it needs to be. And I do have a video on getting to the 800 credit score, and you guys should check that out, and that'll be of some help to you in the area of what I'm talking about now. But if you follow those steps, then your credit will be as good as it can be, no matter what system any lender is using, and you can rest assured that you can go anywhere and get approved. And it's not always about your credit score, which is what usually everybody is so focused about. They only look at the credit score. They don't look at the accounts on your credit report. You can have a 700 something score and go somewhere and still get denied. You shouldn't, but that can happen if you have certain things on your credit report. But most people don't know that, because they only home in and try to focus on that score being high. But you can have negative stuff on your report and still have a high score depending on what type of account it is. So, don't just focus on the score, focus on everything on your credit report. That's why I stress so much getting all 3 of your credit reports and making sure you have something easy to read, because if you're trying to thumb through those 80 something pages from the annualcreditreport.com and you miss something, then you missed the opportunity to make sure that everything was clean because you went the free route instead of just maybe putting out a few dollars just to get something that's going to make it easy to know, so that you can know that you know what you're looking at, if that makes sense. Now let me see what else we got. Okay, how do I apply for your program? All you have to do is set up a phone credit consultation with us. Of course, all the credit consultations are over the phone. And if we help your state, we'll be able to help you because it is dependent upon what state you live in. All the credit repair laws are different based on whatever state the consumer lives in. And when you go to set the appointment, you'll see that information. You can see if we service your state. We service about 17 different states currently. And, you can set the appointment and we'll do a credit consultation and we'll see how we can best help you. Okay, let me see what other questions we got. Okay. And I don't know if you're calling me Avery or not, but the consultations are free. You do have to pay $1, and that dollar is for your credit reports. Again, the credit reports, the credit monitoring company I mentioned, that's in the description. That's who we use for our consultations, so that we can look at your FICO scores and all 3 of your reports. And you do pay $1 for that before your consultation. We'll use that to see your credit reports, and of course, then it's just a matter of if we need to move forward on helping you or not. But all that will be identified before you pay any extra money. So you would only pay $1 to find out if we can help you and to find out what you need to do in order to get your credit score in a better position. All right. Hey, Kwanda. Glad you enjoyed the information. No, I don't service Ohio, JJ, unfortunately, but I'm still expanding into different states. So, hopefully I'll be there soon. But right now I don't currently service Ohio. Okay, this is a good question. So should we be concerned with Vantage 3.0 score? Thank you. Okay, so if you are unaware, there are 2 different major credit score types. There's the FICO score, and then there's the Vantage score 3.0 currently. So what these 2 things are is basically like Windows and Mac, like Android and iPhone. So basically, they both do the same thing, but they have different ways of getting it done. They have different algorithms used to calculate your credit score based on the same information that's on your credit report. So it's basically, kind of like looking at Celsius and Fahrenheit. The amount of heat that you feel is the same, but you will get 2 different numbers as far as the score that you get. Usually the Vantage score is going to be higher than the FICO score, which is how most people get misled, because if you don't know where you see a Vantage score, Credit Karma is one of those places. A lot of the credit monitoring places that most people go to also use the Vantage score. Even if you go to a TransUnion's website, and I believe it's Experian's website, they both use a Vantage score as well. So it will give you a number that makes you think that your score is higher, and then you go to the lender and they pull a FICO score, and then they see that your score, and then you see that your score is nowhere near what you thought it was. Sometimes the difference could be 20 points. Sometimes the difference can be like 120 points, and I've seen it be that much of a difference before. So do you need to worry about it? Not really. Now, there were some things put in place to try to look at the possibility of using Vantage scores for mortgages in the future, but there isn't really, I haven't heard anything about that. But other than that, FICO is still the most widely used by lenders. Over, I think 98, 99% of lenders use FICO. So as it stands currently, there isn't really something to worry about as far as using that. But even if lenders were to try to implement it, even though they have higher scores that come out based on their calculation, you would think that you would get approved for more things. But actually, what lenders would do, because they are smart, and they're not trying to just give out money to a person that might actually be risky to them, and they might not get their money back. So what they would plan to do is to, if the scores are going to be higher now, they're going to increase their score requirements in order to align with that, to make sure that they're still not taking on more risks than they want to take. But right now, it's not something that you need to worry about. Okay, let me see. Okay, a debt collector keeps re-aging my eviction from 2018. Statute of limitations is 3 years. In MD, what can I do? So when they say re-aging of the debt, and I always have to ask, certain questions, because sometimes consumers may get the dates. They may think one date means another thing. So I always have to throw these things out there and ask these questions just to make sure that we're looking at the right information. Now, when it comes to the statute of limitations, like you said, it's 3 years in MD. Of course, when it comes down to that, you have to make sure that it's the right type of statute of limitation, because there are different statutes based on if it's I forget the terms, but I think it's like if it's written or if it's oral or if it's a loan versus a credit card. They have different statutes based on that. So of course I haven't seen the MD statutes, so I can't tell you about that one in particular, but I'm assuming that you looked up the right one, and it is 3 years for that type of account. Now, with that being said, you said it was 2018, and they keep re-aging it. So they really can't re-age it, not legally re-age it. And if it was an illegal re-age, now usually the re-aging, like I said, is going to deal with the amount of time that it can report on your credit report. So if there's a certain date on the credit report, you need to make sure you're looking at the right date. Again, when it comes to that, is it the last reported date, which is the date that was just when they reported it to the credit bureau, or is it that date depending upon the last payment that you made that they're changing, or is it the amount of time that it's going to stay on your credit report? Those are the specifics that you need to be looking at when it comes to that. Now, if it is something that let's say it is the credit, not the credit reporting. Nah, I'm sorry, I'm getting confused. Not the one that actually is going to tell you, how long it stays on your credit report. The one that says that you've made a payment on it. If it's that and it's on your credit report, then like I said, that more than likely is affecting your score, because it's an eviction. More than likely it's showing up as a collection. Collections constantly change that date, saying that the most recent payment was this current month that you're usually in. So that's something that collections do. The only thing that you want to do in that instance is try to dispute it like you would any other collection. But as far as the statute of limitations, that's how long you can be sued by that company for that debt. Now, if it's outside of the statute of limitations, then you definitely have no reason to try to pay them, because they can't legally sue you. So if it's outside of that, the only thing you need to do at this point, brother, is you want to try to sue. You want to try to dispute. But they can't sue you if you're outside of the statute of limitations. Now, some places, depending upon if you've moved to a different state, sometimes they can change the statute of limitations, and they can choose to use the state that the debt was created in, or they can choose to use the state statute of limitations in the debt that you live in now. So, if that is something that is playing into it, and again, I'm throwing this stuff out there because I don't know the full situation, haven't looked at it with my own eyes, but these are what the things that could be going on. So these are the things that you want to look into to make sure that it's not that. But if you, are still in MD, more than likely that is the statute of limitations. And if it is beyond that, then hey, you don't have anything to worry about as far as them trying to sue you. You want to try to go ahead and dispute that, and you can do that without worrying about any lashing out by that collection company or by the actual place that put the eviction out there. Hopefully that helps. Okay, let's see what else we got. Okay, New Jersey. I can help New Jersey if you do need the assistance. Easy print. Let me see what we got here. Okay, no, Lisa, I'm sorry. I don't service Louisiana, and I really hate that because that's where I'm from. I'm from New Orleans. So, I have a lot of people back home that I have been unable to help, but currently I can't. But that's another state that I'm working on too. So, hopefully, in the future, I will be able to help. However, I do have do it yourself credit repair kit for those people who I cannot help. And there is a link to that in the description. I also have a free class in the description too where you can actually, it's about 30 minutes long. You can get some free information that will help you while you're trying to work on your credit yourself so that you can kind of get an idea of those directions that people go left when they should be going right. And it should get you back on track. So if I can't help you, I do have some tools that I put out there to try to help you and try to keep you on the right direction. So, even if I can't help you hands on, you can still help yourself and not be led astray. And yeah, John, it's a ridiculous system, but the system was not made for us. Credit was originally made for the lenders. The government just had to step in at some point and make them give us credit scores and give us access to credit reports because they were just doing really what they wanted to do behind the scenes, and they were not concerned about what we thought about it at all. And it shows. It definitely shows. Okay, hold up. It looks like it's a little confusion here. So lenders only use FICO, but us trying to get our FICO score is only the Vantage number, which is wrong. How is that the way? So no, that's not what it is. And this is why I said you just need to get your credit report. Don't focus on the score. Get the report. Deal with the negative items on the report. Get the good stuff you need on the report on there so that your credit report looks as good as it can. So no matter where you go, you have the best score. That's why I always say that, because this can get a little confusing. The lenders all use FICO. They all use different versions of FICO because they can. So, and you never know what version they're going to use until you apply and then you see it hidden in the details of the score that they give you back. Or if you call and you ask them and you get the right person that actually knows the answer to the question. But the lender is going to always use FICO. Most of the places that you check your credit report yourself, you are going to see a Vantage score, but there are also places where you can see a FICO score, like the company that I mentioned that I use for customers. They give you FICO scores. They give you FICO version 8, which is going to be pretty close to what you'll see in most places. But again, different places might have a different version, which as long as you're looking at a FICO versus a different version of FICO, usually it's not going to be too far off. If you're looking at a Vantage versus a FICO, then that's where you'll see the difference. This is why I tell people not to really go for Credit Karma, because if you go for and use Credit Karma religiously, you'll constantly be seeing more than likely a score that is very, very off. You may think that you're in a better place than what you are. So it's just a matter of when you get your scores yourself, get them from the right place so that you can see a number that's going to be close to what the lender would be seeing. There's never a way to get it 100% exact. So the only thing you can do is, again, make sure that your credit report is as crispy as it need to be so you're good wherever you go, or obtain a FICO score when you pull your own credit so that you can know that you are looking at the closest thing that the closest thing to what the lender would see. And make sure you're checking to see if you're looking at a Vantage score or not. Usually the free ones that you get are going to be Vantage scores. Hopefully that clears that up. Okay, how long do things stay on your credit report in Alabama? Basically, it depends on what you're talking about because, like I said, there's different types of debt that have different age limits. I believe for most things in Alabama, it's going to be about 6 years, but I believe it can be different with a credit card and a car, which I believe are about 4 years on the statute of limitations. Now, I could be wrong on that, so don't quote me on that. But it depends on what type of debt it is. But I think in Alabama, most things are about 6 years. Hopefully that answers the question. All right, you're welcome, Lisa. And this is going to be the last question that I'm going to get to here. How do I get rid of or dispute portfolio recovery associates collections? I heard they are hard to get off your credit report. Well, whoever told you that, they did not lie to you. Portfolio is one of those hard places. They usually collect for credit card companies or something like that. But again, I mentioned credit card companies can be the harder ones to have removed, and it's usually certain companies that go for those types of debts. Portfolio being one of them, and yes, portfolio is hard to remove. It's not impossible. I can't give you any key ingredient secret or anything like that, but what you want to do is you want to try to, like I said, make sure that you are doing everything that you can by disputing with the credit bureaus and disputing with the creditor directly, the collection company directly. And you want to make sure that you see everything that is available to you as far as tools to use in the Fair Credit Reporting Act, Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, and making sure that you're coming at them and not giving up quickly, because it can take some time to try to see some results. So that was the last question that I'm going to be able to get to for today. I thank you guys for showing up and presenting all of your questions and staying and sticking around for all the information. Again, if you did not like this video, make sure that you like the video, and so that YouTube can share this video with more people, and you can share this yourself with your friends on Facebook or whatever other social media platform if you feel like they could have used some of this information that I presented today. If you are not subscribed to the channel, please make sure you subscribe to the channel and check out some of the other things that I have. I also have some different credit T-shirts out there that you guys can probably see under the video that you may be interested in for the cold season. And also, don't forget, I have a bunch of credit tools for you guys that are trying to work on your credit yourselves. And don't forget to check out just everything that I have in the description that could be useful and helpful to you guys on your credit journeys. And I also have a membership for the channel as well. I do have another video that describes more of what you get by being a part of the member. One of those things is getting credit reviews four times a year. If you're just trying to maintain your credit and make sure that it's on track and staying good, and a lot of other benefits and perks as well. So make sure you guys check out the memberships and join the channel through memberships, not just subscription. Now, if you guys have any other questions, make sure that you leave them in the comments, and stay tuned for the next live video that I'll do. I, again, appreciate you guys. At this point, I'm at about 12,000 subscribers, and I couldn't have got there without you guys. I really appreciate all the love you guys show and all the questions you guys ask. So I'll see you guys next time. It was good hanging with you guys tonight, and let me know if I can help you guys in any way by posting in a video and asking whatever questions you may have. All right. Good night, you guys. I'll see you guys next time.